because we're reacting to certain things in particular, this is where we bring in this guy to start hour number 2. And he breaks out the West Virginia mug. I see how
6-3, ball eligible.
Well, and what I'm seeing, what I am seeing, sir, is the idea that you, and I point to you in the collective, there with West Virginia supporting elements, you could be in the Liberty Bowl in Memphis to take on an opponent.
Yeah, I don't want to be at the Liberty Bowl. I've been to that game. I've been to that stadium. It's not great. Memphis is kind of a one-trick pony type of a town. You go to Beale Street and that's it.
Oh, you go.
No offense.
Breakfast,
no offense
barbecue, man.
Yeah, you go eat barbecue and you go to Beale Street. And it's Beale Street compared to Broadway, not the same. But anyway, yes. Also, could be looking at possibly the Texas Bowl out in Houston, which might be fun. Player cards, right? Win a couple games. We might be in the Pop-Tarts Bowl down in Orlando. So
the early bowl game.
I don't know how we went from Champ Sports Bowl to Russell Athletic Bowl to Cheez-It Bowl to now the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Hey, if somebody's gonna bring the dollars to sponsor the bowl game, and if the winning coach gets Pop-Tarts dumped on you, I mean, hell, why not? Why the hell not, right?
I'm hopeful that it stays that way because that is a great bowl name.
Okay. I want to, before we get into the elongated edition number 1 of Reffingdownhere this week, I need you to talk to me like I'm 6 years old. Emma Hayes and the USWNT. I saw your reaction when all of this was initially being released and brought to the fore. Break this down as to why this is the seismic, expletive-laden post on the 280-character app that a lot of fans with the USWNT are looking at.
Well, first off, I think it's no secret that Emma Hayes is one of the 3 maybe best club managers in the women's game, flat out. She's up there with Bonpastor in terms of just consistent success and building really great programs. Chelsea wasn't great before she got there. She's been there for a decade, and they are the best club in English women's football right now. Not better than Arsenal long term, but right now. I don't think any U.S. women's fan, and certainly no reporters, felt like she was a legitimate and viable option for the U.S. women's national team. I kind of put her in that category with Wiegman and Bonpastor of, they're great, and it would be wonderful if we could get them, but it is highly unlikely they leave where they are now for the women's national team job. But apparently, money talks, John. Money talks. And we're going to pay her, supposedly, the most any women's football club coach is women's football coach is going to be making ever. And that says a lot. We all are excited. Obviously, this could go very poorly, but the reality is she is one of the 3 or 4 biggest names the U.S. women could get. But like I said, no one really anticipated that level of get for this team because of just where she is and things she said in the past.
All right. So with the thing she said that basically I'm happy where I am, those kind of stereotypic quotes of
but it seemed genuine, right? Because there was no need for her to leave Chelsea. That's kind of what it was. It's not like she had previously been to a couple other stops and had success and moved on. This isn't Pep Guardiola type stuff, She legitimately has built Chelsea into what it's supposed to be. And there's a little bit of unfinished business. Chelsea has not won the Champions League. We kind of felt that she would want to do that with Chelsea. And she has another year to do it, I guess. But that, again, it's a big get and something that I don't think anyone really anticipated because of how happy she was at Chelsea. But that said, this is a big challenge for her. This is a major step up to take what still is the best team in the world. I don't care what people say about Spain or anything else. The U.S. is still the best team in the world. And this is a huge opportunity for Hayes. This is a huge opportunity for the U.S. women's national team.
Bit of a
breaking news.
Well, kind of, sort of. I mean, it's it's more like, okay, get out your translators, perhaps, and your Google translators. But apparently, Jenny Hermoso has done an interview with GQ Spain, and GQ Spain awarded her their Woman of the Year, and the some of the quotes that are attached to it. I'm now receiving threats, and that is something you can never get used to. She adds, quote, I'm feeling the consequences of something I never wanted. She says speaking to a psychologist has helped persuade her not to quit football. She also thanks male footballers Isco, Borja Iglesias, Hector Bellerin, and Oscar Trejo for speaking out in support of her. So I guess the required reading of the day will be the Jenny Hermoso piece in GQ Spain, where she has come out with things. And I know that Ricky is doing breaking news as well. And now this one I will give the klaxon to. This one I will give the klaxon to, and I've got to sit here and make sure that my audio levels are correct to where everything is doing things properly. And you slam the music all the way down. Thiago Almada, surprising no one, at least in this footprint, Young Player of the Year in Major League Soccer. So well done, Thiago Almada. No shock to any of us here in the Southeast, but Young Player of the Year, Thiago Almada. Mazel tov and a tip of the hat for a season well deserved. There you go. But no, I literally was off and running looking at the GQ article with Jenny Hermoso. Once again, no real surprise that you have classless dudes who want to sit there and run their mouths and try to pin things on her that are completely and totally unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is something that every women's footballer has had to deal with at some point. I'm sure that the mere existence of them and the mere desire for them to play soccer is somehow a threat to fragile male egos. And small-minded men are small in other areas, and I'll just leave it at that.
Wow. Okay, so now, all right, now that's a judgment call for me when the show is over, if I have to put up the explicit rating or not.
I didn't say anything, John. You took it that way.
Of course I did. It's like a Friends episode. That's how we roll.
Oh, R.I.P. Matthew Perry.
Yes, exactly. All right. The other reason that I wanted to bring you in on a Monday is because of, oh my holy God, what the hell happened this past weekend? Oh, by the way, what Celsius flavors are your favorites?
So orange and watermelon.
Okay.
Yeah, Celsius. You want to sponsor me or the podcast? I am open.
Damn right. I mean,
I drink one every time I referee because I need it. I need that energy to deal with parents yelling at me and coaches yelling at me. And
yes, exactly. For me, I'm more the raspberry and acai and the grape rush.
I don't like berry flavors, period.
Okay.
I'm citrus flavor. That's where I live. So the tropical vibe, the orange, the watermelon.
Okay.
Kiwi's okay, but I'm not a fan of berries. But I respect your allegiance to the berry flavors.
Yes. All right, so let's work our way backward here. In basically the first half hour of the show for opening kickoff, we went through everything that happened in Vancouver, the end of the Vancouver match. Actually, really, we also talked about a soft PK that got called.
It was a soft PK. I will vehemently say that it was a foul, I think, but I don't even know if it's 100% a foul in the open field. It's just a weird situation.
Yeah. So LAFC gets a 1-0 lead on a soft PK in the 52nd, and then what in the blue hell happened late, man? Have you ever before I let you roll here? Have you ever seen a situation where a center ref was a roadblock in a transitional element? And
yeah, it's happened to me a couple times, but that's when I'm refereeing the 12-year-olds who I can't see.
Yeah.
They come up to my hip, and I'm like, where am I? And this is legitimately the catch-22 you have as a referee, especially when you're looking at corner kicks. I would like to say I blame all players everywhere for this incident, because if players behave themselves in the penalty area on corner kicks, referees wouldn't have to get so close to, look at all the shenanigans that go on. So if you want to blame anyone, blame all the players over the history of this game who feel like it's appropriate to tackle, pull, punch, and other shenanigans inside the penalty area. So that's my stance on that. But I have never seen this. I've never seen a referee throw a screen that then triggers a counterattack that scores a goal and then is ruled offside because the attacking trident doesn't know what offside is, apparently.
I was stunned on about 9 different levels. I'm literally watching this and I'm screaming at the television that you don't stop play.
No, you don't. You don't. We only stop play if a ball hits us and it goes to the opponent. That's it. And the restart's a drop ball and we go from there. But you definitely do not stop play for this incident.
Okay.
And it may seem a little unfair, but look, we're out there too, and again, in this situation, Tim Ford is trying to get the best view possible of what is happening in that penalty area on a very decisive corner kick, right? Things are going to happen. I actually awarded a penalty kick this weekend to a girl who tackled another girl in the penalty area, full two-handed bear hug, threw her down to the ground on a corner kick. It happens all the time. Rarely do we ever call anything, but some things look pretty obvious. And so Tim needed to make sure he was there to see it. It just so happens that the player ran into him. And I think the other thing that I would say is, I know he moved a little bit, but the player ran right into him. The player had him in his line of sight. So I get that he was going for the ball. I get that, but
so then let me ask you this. Should not Timothy Ford have had a better positioning or a better angle to look at things instead of possibly being in the line of play in a transitional opportunity?
I think that's fair. And this is something that, it has happened to me where a player ran into me at the top of the box on a penalty area, like on a goal kick, but it happens. It's never, we get in the way sometimes. It's the unfortunate reality of us having to literally run to keep up with play all the time. And this situation, he probably could have positioned himself a little better to be both close to the action, but not at that. Basically, he was kind of right on top of the arc, and that's probably not the best place for him to have been because that is a likely place for a clearance, a poor clearance to land. But again, the player easily could have seen that he was there. Yes, he could have been in a little bit better position, but he did move directly to the ball, which was to me a little curious because, instead of kind of moving back, he moved a little bit more laterally. I would have moved, a little more straight back to get a better view of everything going on, but it wasn't like it was bad positioning. It was just unfortunate.
Okay, so Bam asks, how many times have you run through a kid while being a ref?
A lot, honestly. You can ask Chiefs coach Steve. I refereed some of his little ones a lot, and it happens. Look, one, you're out there trying to run around and keep up with 10-year-olds, which is hard because 10-year-olds don't do things in any sort of orderly manner. And then again, you just can't see them at all. So then once a game that you just kind of bump into a player. Usually it's nothing big. Like most of the time it's, they're on a dead ball, especially you're kind of all moving around to get in good position and you just kind of bump into people and you go, oh, sorry, I need to move on.
Then the follow-up, would you have given Mario a red for his incident with the keeper? What game are we talking about here?
Yeah, which.
So let's unless
like Mario and Luigi or.
What match are we talking about here, Bam? Are you talking LAFC and Takaoka, or let us know? So then his third question: with VAR, do we need refs that close on corners?
Yes, because you still want to make the call in the field. You don't want to rely on VAR to catch something for a number of reasons. Okay. You still want to be close enough to see that the play unfolding, right? We don't want to leave VAR to act. The point of VAR, Bam, and for everyone is not to referee the match. right? It's to be an assistant to the refereeing processes. It's not to physically referee the match, and that would be getting into that, and we don't want that.
Okay, and it was an incident where an LAFC player tackled Takaoka in the match. We'll go back.
I don't remember a red card situation in that regard. Sorry, I don't.
I think Sartini was looking for one and
Maybe
didn't get it.
I don't remember anything that egregious that I saw, but
Okay, so we'll go back and check on that later. All right, now incident number 2 goes to the Cincinnati match with Red Bulls.
I have to make 2 disclaimers here, John.
All right, go for it.
Okay, so the laws of the game are written to be universally applied everywhere. I still don't know how they apply to Matt Miazga. So that's my disclaimer. I also cannot interpret and prognosticate MLS disciplinary regulations. So those are my 2 disclaimers before we talk about this game.
Okay. So, all right. So let me give you, we'll work backward. And I'm guessing that this is an interview that Matt Miazga did with Pat Brennan of the Cincinnati Enquirer after the match. Afterwards, when he was asked about the second yellow and the gesture he made, quote, "I'm annoyed. The referee gave me a yellow card. For what? I went to my fans that I played for since I was 14 years old and gave them a heart. I gave them a heart and I was showing them my love. I get a yellow card for that. For what? For what? And I have to take that, and I'm suspended now. And after the game, he gives me a yellow card because I asked, what the hell are you doing? Everyone's yelling at the referee. Yeah, of course I feel singled out. I was speaking to him, meaning Victor Rivas, the whole game normally, and he's talking to me nicely all game. I hate to break it to Matt Miazga, but when you take your index finger and you point it in a referee's face, that's not going to go well over the span of 90-plus minutes. So how much of Matt Miazga would you like to tackle here with the...
Oh, we can tackle all of it because, but I'll start with the quote that his coach said. Pat Noonan said he knows better, and I would rebut. He does not. Matt Miazga does not know better because he does this all the time.
Yeah.
Homeboy, I don't know what you thought you were doing after scoring a penalty kick and a PK shootout in an elimination game in front of your, quote, fans. Like, that is not the time to do that, you know?
And the videos have come out from that supporter section after the match too, where the Red Bulls fans were less than pleased with Cincinnati.
Yeah, it wasn't done in a like, hey, sorry, type of way. It was so dramatic. It was so over the top. It was so, it was taunting. And also, he didn't do the heart correctly. He did this, making like a pumpkin, not this, this, nothing.
He's doing binoculars.
Yeah, he's like, ooh, buddy, that's a yellow card, right? That is unsporting behavior. Yeah. That encapsulates your entire career. Matt Miazga, your entire career is unsporting behavior. But that's a yellow card. And then if you're mad at the referee after the game and you go up to him and start jabbering and everything, you're going to get a yellow card as well. So what, now he's at 4 yellow cards in 2 matches? That's got to be some sort of record.
I think technically it's 3 because he got the back-to-back for dissent and excessive celebration. That's how it's listed in the book. Dissent and excessive celebration.
He deserved what he got during that penalty kick shootout. It made me sad that they ended up going on to win that because, Matt Miazga kind of ruined it for everyone.
Matt Miazga, you've ruined this for everybody. And
so I think that the yellow card is appropriate. That's the first situation, right?
Yeah.
That one, you get a yellow card, but don't try to act like we're stupid. This is my favorite line that I give to kids, 15-year-olds. I didn't touch him as he, 2-footed into the knee. I didn't touch him. I'm like, I'm not stupid. It's my favorite line to give out to the teenagers. And Matt Miazga has barely matured past the age of a 16-year-old. So,
So post game, when you have Pat Brennan get this quote from Miazga, and then your head coach sit there and goes, he knows better, and he's like, well, what? Why? It's like the Alfred E. Newman, why me? For the match.
Well, and here's the thing, and we'll talk about it, I'm sure, but you also still got 2 yellow cards in the run of play in back-to-back games, buddy.
Yeah.
what sympathy do you want from the referee crew to not give you a yellow card because you've been doing stupid things the whole time? The victim mentality from Matt is a cherry on top of the narcissism cake.
All right, so it's narcissism, and so a narcissism cake and a victim mentality topping. Is that how you're okay? It's when you're dealing with, and I mean, it looked like Victor Rivas did not want to give reds in this match that was this heated. I think he wanted to try to navigate the second half, as physical as it was, and get the hell out of town.
Right, for two reasons, John, and this is the unfortunate balance that we have to hold with the referee crew. Is we're in a playoff situation, right? So we know that things are going to be heated, period. You have a team in the Red Bulls who don't play soccer often. They just happen to run around on the field against a Cincinnati team who is by far the biggest floppers outside of Philadelphia. And that's going to, but they're also really like, they kind of get a little, physical themselves. So it's going to lend itself to problematic instances, right? But as a referee, you're understanding that if you give a red card to someone, they're missing the next game,
right?
Which is a season-deciding game for their team.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you don't want to give red cards. You want to try to manage the game with yellow cards if you can, because those are warnings to not only that player but everyone on that field that, hey, we need to calm it down. That is unacceptable. We don't need to do that again. The problem with the referee, and the only thing I would say for Victor Rivas, because I actually thought he managed it fairly okay, given, I mean, again, we're one person. I can't control 22 other humans, adult humans. Well, 21 adult humans and Matt Miazga. I can't control all of them.
Yeah.
But I thought Rivas could have been a little bit more forceful with yellow cards and not afraid to give a second yellow card in regulation. I don't necessarily think there's like an incident that I could point to and say, oh, that deserved it. But the reality is you give a yellow card, that is a caution, right? That is supposed to say to the player, buddy, you can't do this anymore. You can't be acting a fool like this. And some of them continue to do so. I think he would have been well within his right to give second yellow cards. But I understand why he didn't want to give straight red cards, because that is a truly game-deciding decision. Whereas a second yellow card to me, and we talked about it a little bit with Tristan Muyumba, that once you get one, you have to, as the player, the responsibility is on you to behave within the laws of the game after that.
All right, so now explain to, once again, treat me like I'm 6. The second yellow to Miazga during the penalty kick element of the match, why is that not a red, and Miazga is suspended for however many matches it would be down the line? It's like, when did this turn into a separate event as opposed to not being a back-to-back and a red?
So we need to go through a little bit of history, but first I'll just say that had Miazga been given had that second yellow card or whatever been sent off during penalty kicks, it would not have affected anything unless we would have had it gone back through the penalty kick order, at which case Cincinnati and Red Bulls would have only had 10 penalty kick takers. Similar to if you have a red card in regulation, you just even the number of players that take penalty kicks. So if you remember, John, 2019 Women's World Cup, IFAB released changes to the laws of the game that straight up penalized goalkeepers for coming off their line early during a penalty kick. I'm like 97% certain that was the first time we had this law at that strict of a level codified in the laws of the game. Before that, we were always told, oh, you're not supposed to, and kind of stuff like that. And if they did, the only real punishment was we take it again. But for the longest time, we kind of let goalkeepers just, we were like, well, you should probably stay on that line. And did they ever really do that? No. So in 2019, we kind of made these changes to make it easier for referees to force goalkeepers to stay on that goal line. It has evolved a lot in the last 4 years. And so it kind of was, unfortunately, even understood that during a penalty kick shootout, these goalkeepers were even just like, the warning was already there. You know you're not supposed to do it. So there's no like warning of, hey, don't do that again. It was an automatic yellow card for leaving your line early. The problem was, because we allowed yellow cards to carry over into penalty kick shootouts, there were a couple incidents, one of them in MLS, Pedro Gaese, where a yellow card had picked up a goalkeeper had picked up a yellow card in regulation, got a second yellow card for leaving early in penalty kick shootout, and was sent off. Therefore, the problem is, again, like I just said with a player, if a player, a kicker, gets a yellow card or a red card or whatever in penalty kick shootout, it really doesn't affect much. It doesn't affect that kicker. And really the punishment to the team is both teams take it with 10 players, right? That's not a very serious punishment in the grand scheme of things compared to a goalkeeper literally being sent off, right? And you can't sub in a goalkeeper at that point in time. You have to choose from the players who are taking the penalty kicks. So what we ended up doing was, a couple years after 2019, I want to say it was 2021, but I'm not entirely sure of the date for that. We said, no, for goalkeepers, the yellow card doesn't carry over. And then this year, we're like, wait a second, no, that's not fair to just give that to goalkeepers. It needs to apply to everyone fairly. So now all players, coaches, and team officials, their yellow cards do not carry over from regulation to kicks from the mark. Now, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. But the other element in this is that, so if we take this scenario forward, then if Miazga is pulled from the order, then you're saying that Dylan Nealis, who was there with him in that same frame, would have been pulled out as well, since he was there in that inning, basically. So it would have been Dylan Nealis that goes out. Is that how this works?
I cannot say for certain that that's how it works, because if you're just given a red card or whatever in a game and you go to penalty kicks,
okay,
you don't really have a like for like. I don't think that's how it works.
Okay.
I just think that you have to, that player cannot take it and you're down to 10 players taking.
Okay.
So, right.
Yeah.
There's not like Dylan Nealis doesn't have to. No.
Okay. Because that was my question. So like if Miazga gets pulled from the order, then does that mean the batting order also gets pulled for Dylan Nealis? That was my other question in this, to make it 10v10. So like I said, that's where my brain was working anyway. Topic number 3. We can avoid Arsenal and Newcastle because there's like multiple incidents there.
I'll just say this: people think the ball is out of play when it's not, and I'll just leave it at that.
Oh well, and then you've also got the Guimaraes tackle and all those other elements. We'll leave Arsenal and Newcastle to the side. 3 minutes and 25 seconds. That is almost the length of time of the new Beatles single, where you end up with a decision on Garnacho, Harry Maguire, and a disallowed goal in the Premier League on a 1-0 win for Manchester United over Fulham. So it's Maguire on the McTominay goal. The goal was disallowed. What say you, sir?
I, again, think the issue here is the length of time it took to get to this decision. Because when you saw this happen immediately, I get there were two kind of like processes you had to get to before Harry Maguire. So the first one was Garnacho onside or offside?
Right.
Replay, you go, yeah, he's onside. Then you go through and you say, okay, was McTominay offside or onside? He was clearly onside. That really wasn't that much of a deal, but that's just the process you're going through. And then you go through and say, was there any other problems in this buildup, right? We have a goal, we have time, let's check it. Mm-hmm. And I think it still took too long to go, well, Harry Maguire is clearly offside in this frame. And that would be my first next thought, right? Is, okay, well, any other players in an offside position when the ball was kicked, and did Did they interfere with the play? So that's what happens third. Again, I think it took too long to get to this because both of the other two, frames, instances, whatever, were easy to get to. Like Garnacho onside, got it. McTominay onside, perfect. Harry Maguire is in an offside position when the free kick is taken, right?
Okay.
I think we can all agree, right? Harry Maguire, offside position on that free kick. The laws of the game say that an offside, it is not an offense in itself to be offside position. That's the number one thing, But if a player gains an advantage by playing the ball or interfering with an opponent, they can be in an offside position. One of those things is clearly attempting to play a ball, which is close, when this action impacts an opponent, or preventing an opponent from playing or being able to play the ball clearly by obstructing the opponent's line of vision, or challenging the opponent for the ball, or making an obvious action which clearly impacts the ability of an opponent to play the ball. And I'm sorry, I'm not blinded by my hatred for Man U, I promise, but it's very clear that Harry Maguire challenges an opponent for the ball, right? I forget the opponent for Fulham, but they literally collide. He goes to play the ball. It just so happens that it misses him. So people tend to think that being in active play means, oh, I touched it. And that is wrong. That is the number one way we look at it. But there are many ways to be involved in active play simply by going after the ball. And in my opinion, Harry Maguire was definitely trying to play the ball, interferes with an opponent while trying to challenge for the ball. He meets basically every single criteria for the interfering with an opponent qualification of offside.
Okay.
But again, the problem is it took 78 minutes to figure out that he was offside. And I think that is where people are upset. And they say it's subjective. I don't know if it's super subjective because to me, it's pretty clear that Harry Maguire interferes with the opponent. They literally collide. So,
Yeah, and it was Rodrigo Muniz who was the player in question. But I think the larger element in this, for me, is the longer that you're staring at something, for me, the longer you're looking for something.
I agree with that.
So I would I legitimately would put some kind of a timestamp on it, for a particular action, give it a minute and a half. Okay, I've gone through this sequence, this event, minute and a half. I haven't found anything. Call has to stand. Even though I know that you want to get it correct, then if you don't have the angles and the angles are inconclusive and Cyclops doesn't help you out, then you have to move on to the next thing. So, to me, I'm more concerned about looking for something and having VAR being an element of this. It's like, okay, it's instead of it being an aid, it's more of a crutch.
Right. And like we said, we don't want VAR to officiate matches. I think this decision could have been gotten to a lot quicker because the first two situations you're looking for, the first two events of Garnacho offside, McTominay offside, are very clearly no. They're in onside positions. We're fine. So why it took so long to then start looking at Harry Maguire, to me, I agree, John, is a problem because the very first frame you go, oh yeah, Maguire is offside. So maybe those things, again, we've talked about a lot with the English referees who clearly don't know how to VAR. They don't have good processes. They don't have good communication of those processes. Surprisingly, British men don't communicate with each other well. This has never happened at all in history, I'm sure. But it should have made more sense for them to say, okay, first freeze frame, Garnacho, yeah, he's onside. Okay, well, Maguire's offside, and I think there may have been one other player who was offside. We'll come back and check them. Okay, roll it. McTominay, he's onside. We're good. Okay, let's go back to the original kick. Okay, yeah, Maguire's offside. Oh, it looks like he interferes with play there. It just like the process could have been identified a lot sooner. The things they were looking for should have been identified a lot sooner. And again, people were confused. It just took a long time. I think they got to eventually the right call, but I also agree with you, John, why do we spend all this time looking for something that is ultimately a subjective type call?
All right. So what have we saved for Wednesday?
Well, we can talk Arsenal.
Okay.
I don't think there is anything else really in the Vancouver. I know, Bam, I'll go watch the Mario Gonzalez tackle on the. I'll watch it again. I was watching it live and I didn't really see anything that was like, "Ooh, that's a red card," but I'll go back and watch that. And I'm sure we'll have something to talk about tonight and tomorrow night with MLS Cup playoffs because those always go so smoothly.
Yes, they do. So what's coming up next for Soccer for USPod?
Well, we're recording hopefully today about Emma Hayes.
There you go.
That's literally all we're talking about. Nations League roster is supposed to drop this week. So we won't record anything about that until probably next week to talk about both the roster and then the upcoming matches against Trinidad to hopefully qualify for Copa America. But yeah, we're going to try to record today about Emma Hayes and all the good things with that.
Okay, so we're looking forward to the next Soccer for US POD with at Bartimus Prime 19 and at US Keeper. Bart, thanks for dropping in on an emergency notice when we put up the bat signal because everything went haywire and sideways. And obviously,
Again,
and the newsworthy part about Emma Hayes, obviously we couldn't let slide for a Monday.
John, that is the biggest deal. I mean that sincerely because no one expected her, and she truly is one of the biggest names in women's soccer right now as a manager goes. So it also, and a lot of the U.S. men's national team fans are like, oh, so we can be serious about a coaching search. And we will talk about that when we record for you, Soccer for Us, but it is different. You're talking about the U.S. men's national team, who at our best, we're 11th in the world. That's probably inflated right now. The U.S. women's national team, and I will vehemently say this, we ain't got a talent problem. We do not have a talent problem. Mia Official, Katarina Macario, even though she's hurt, Jaden Shaw, even some of the girls that were playing down in the Pan Am games who were outclassed and outmatched by older players, just flat out. Talent's not the issue for the U.S. women. And we still are if not one of the top teams in international soccer. We are going to be able to pull big names if they want to come here. But we're going to have to pay them. And I think that was probably a big decision maker for Emma Hayes. That supposed report of highest paid women's football manager in the world. That says a lot. And, U.S. soccer doesn't have that much money to even pay a men's manager, but even still, are they going to come coach the U.S. men's national team? I don't know. But Emma Hayes will come coach the women because they are by far the most talented group of players you're going to be able to coach ever.
Just get Jimmy Rain at Yellowwood to come and give you the money, man. That'll work. Before we go, NWSL final, you've got Ali Krieger, Megan Rapinoe.
That's fantastic, honestly. I was shocked that Rain beat Wave because San Diego's been good all season. Rain has been pretty good, and they finally got their win over them. It's also funny because that final is going to be played in Snapdragon, so maybe Rain will get back-to-back wins out there. But I thought Gotham actually looked really good against Portland. And really, I mean, at the end of that match especially, didn't give Portland many chances at all to try to get a leveler. Whereas, I don't want to say it was a lucky goal from Rain. I don't know if it was a purposeful goal. Let's just put it that way.
No. It was, if you ask, Latsko says, no, it was a cross.
It was not a shot. Yeah, definitely. And that was definitely, whereas with Gotham, and I can't remember her name.
It was,
that goal was purposeful.
Yeah, yes, it was.
That was a golazo.
Yeah, it was.
But it'll be fun. I mean, I think it's good that we have two retiring legends being able to go play for a trophy in their final matches. Krieger has kind of been an unsung hero of the women's national team during her time playing for them. And Rapinoe has been an icon on and off the field for almost 2 decades. So congratulations to both of them for being able to get to the final in their final season.
You flying out to San Diego?
No, I actually no, John. My mom's birthday is Saturday, so no, I will not be leaving her for a soccer game again. I've done that plenty of times on her birthday. Not doing it again.
You taking your mom to San Diego?
Maybe. No, she'll be in Athens, Georgia, tailgating. So I think she'll be having fun.
I think it's a nighttime kick. So that's going to be an early day it's going to be a
Yeah.
long day for tailgating and birthdaying.
Well, yeah, that's what the RV is for, John.
There you go, fella. All right. So Wednesday at 10:30, we'll do it again.
Wednesday at 10:30, we'll do it again.